شكرا لك يا صديقي العزيز. أنا السلام عليكم. أنا مسبوطة هني في مصر معكم and شكرا على استقبال بالكم. شكرا. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellency, and thank you for your warm welcome and for your productive discussion. We focused on Gaza, on many topics, but essentially indeed on Gaza and Sudan, two of the most devastating tragedy of our time, where too many lives have been lost and millions displaced. The EU, as you know, is now the first humanitarian global donor, which is a huge financial responsibility, but not only a financial responsibility, it's also a political responsibility. And our commitment is to maintain, to defend a humanitarian aid that is state principle. This is very important to our eyes, and we must collectively ensure that all humanitarian efforts remain guided by international humanitarian law and humanitarian principle. We discuss, of course, the terrible situation in Gaza. Egypt has opened its arms to thousands of Palestinians fleeing the devastation. Since October 2023, around 130,000 people, including 30,000 children, have crossed into Egypt seeking safety, seeking shelter and medical care. And you also play an important role, a critical one, in getting humanitarian aid into Gaza, enabling medical evacuations, supporting regional stability, and contributing to the broader peace efforts. I want to thank Egypt for being one of the main entry points for humanitarian aid, with critical supplies moving through Al Arish airport in close cooperation with the Egyptian Red Crescent. With the ceasefire, we have now a window to ease the suffering of millions of Palestinians. The UN Security Council resolution has provided a way forward, and now it must be put into action. Some aid, of course, is getting in, but it is far from enough, and the needs are massive. Since October 2023, our office in Gaza was evacuated and closed. And since then, the EU has neither technical nor political access. And this doesn't allow us to properly assess the situation there. So we rely completely on the assessment of our stakeholders. But tomorrow, I will travel to Rafah to see the situation there. After 2 years of relentless bombing by Israel IDF, Gaza is almost completely destroyed. Some areas look like flattened wastelands with critical shortages in food, shelter, healthcare, sanitation, and of course, education. Palestinians have lost their homes. Entire neighborhoods have vanished. Over 90% of homes in Gaza have been damaged or destroyed, and people are living in piles of rubble. With winter approaching, they are cold, they are wet and hungry after recent floods, and they simply have nowhere to go. A tent cannot protect a child from winter. Shelters, blankets, and winter kits are urgently needed. Aid must now go from drip-drop to massive flow. No more bureaucratic burden to block aid. We need full access. Our humanitarian stakeholders, partners, international NGOs, the UN system must be registered and allowed to deliver. And I know Egypt does all it can to help make this happen. We also discussed Sudan, the world's worst humanitarian crisis, although it's a forgotten crisis, unfortunately. More than half of the people need life-saving aid. Famine is now confirmed in North Darfur and South Kordofan. We have all seen the horrific images from Al Fasher where civilians hunted down and massacred by the rapid support forces. This is not military operation. This is criminal. What happened in Al-Fashir is not warfare. It's slaughter. The EU and the international community must keep this tragedy high on our agenda. It cannot become the world's forgotten war. Last week, EU foreign ministers took a strong stance condemning the rapid support forces' atrocities and demanding full accountability. They also called for real measures to protect civilians, for unhindered humanitarian access, and for the parties to return to talks for an immediate ceasefire. The EU is also committed to supporting the millions of Sudanese refugees who have fled the neighboring countries. Egypt has been on the front line again from day one, and the European Union is here also to support you. You opened your doors to people fleeing the war. Your generosity has saved countless lives. Egypt now hosts over 1.5 million Sudanese refugees and asylum seekers. Over 200,000 are still waiting to be registered with UNHCR. 3 out of 4 refugees in Egypt are Sudanese, and over 75% of new arrivals are women and children, the very first victim, as always, unfortunately, in a situation of crisis. We are fully aware of Egypt's enormous efforts, and I want to personally, dear brother, thank you for your generosity to provide protection, shelter, services to those who are in need, and including unaccompanied children. And the European Union, again, continues to support you. This year, we have provided an additional 7 million in humanitarian aid to help the most vulnerable refugees and asylum seekers in Egypt. And I want to end with one very clear message. Egypt, you can count on the European Union. We are here with you. We will remain a trusted partner, a reliable partner to make sure aid reaches the people who need it most. And thank you again, dear brother, for your warm welcome. And thank you, Egypt. شكرا.
شكرا. نفتح المجال للأسئلة.